Hi, as a commercial real estate PropTech company leader, focused on building multi-tenant solutions for applications such as self-storage, office space, residential living, warehousing, hospitality, and there are many others, I so often find myself in discussions where the concern is the long-term impacts on property management employment. The reason for this concern is the disruptive nature of digital transformative technologies such as AI or artificial intelligence and IoT, which is the Internet of Things. Considering the treatment of these concerns, this reminds me back to early in my career when I was pursuing my research for my master's thesis, and I ran into a management consultant and author named Gary Hamel. I recall learning about the corporate value equation where in the numerator you had value creation, where in the denominator you had cost management or cost of operations. Hamel explained what he referred to as the denominator focused managers. These are the managers that, due to the limitation in their leadership skills, often lack vision, creativity, courage, skills. And so what they do is they focus on the denominator, the cost management side of the business, largely ignoring the value creation of the business. On the flip side, there is numerator leadership, which uncompromisingly focuses on value creation, those activities that drive top line revenue growth most often. This impacted me greatly then, and having lived and led through both cultures, my commitment today is no different than it was in the first time I heard it. I want to be a numerator leader and ensure that all the efforts in my organization, and frankly the industry, is on the deployment of technology driving value creation. So for those of you concerned about the downstream impact of AI and IoT on the commercial real estate space and the property management personnel, PropTech done right is about substantially growing the numerator. And that's my commitment to our partners and to the employees of our partners, that you'll have a long and continuous voyage into the future. Let's look at this simple but highly meaningful equation once again. Corporate value, which is akin to profit. In the numerator, you have revenue, which is largely sales, divided by cost, which is most often what we control as the operational expenses. The idea is then to generate net operating income, which is profit or NOI. And in commercial real estate applications, we look at NOI by square foot as a strong KPI. Our goals as leaders collaborating with our talented teams is to drive sustainable profit by growing corporate value. Many of you might remember Michael Porter back in business school. He talked about the 5 forces pressing on a company that's participating in an industry against its rivals, and there's these 5 different forces. As critical as these are, and I believe in these 5 forces and I do these analysis regularly, much of the control and ability of a company to succeed and drive profit is under the control of the corporate leadership, and their ability to cast a strong vision, have a great strategy, an executable strategy, and ultimately be able to get a committed organization driving to a plan to achieve it. What do denominator companies and leaders look like? In my mind, these organizations tend to foster too much focus on cost management to driving higher profitability, when in fact there are larger looming systemic issues or greater opportunities at hand. The focus tends to be too much on managing assets and liabilities versus leading people and aspiring teams to driving higher creative change to an organization. I of course agree that organizations require a focus on operational excellence to be sustainable and successful. However, focusing too internally while in hyper-competitive markets is most definitely a pathway to declining health of a company and ultimately could be to their failure. Where I especially disagree is when cost management is used by the very leadership teams who are underperforming in the numerator, i.e. the sales, to cover up their own lacking track record by using the number one tool and steroid shot often used to profitability, and that's by laying people off because of it sees the employees as a liability, not as an asset. At least if this tool was used, I would expect and hope that the same management would consider taking pay cuts themselves, or even more, laying themselves off. Okay, so let's look again at the corporate value equation where denominator management is the focus in that organization. Above the line, you're going to see a lower focus on sales growth, less attention, more marginal metrics, even sandbagging of metrics, poor strategy, poor planning, poor leadership. In the denominator, the cost side, it's going to be too internally focused in an organization on cost management, a focus on reduction of costs, and when tough times are hit, they're quick to pull the layoff trigger. Denominator focus might be necessary at times, I want to be clear, but building sustainable value takes longer-term strategy, not short-term focus. It also takes the collective insights of an entire organization's talent, especially in these evolving and dynamic times. So a culture focused maniacally on the denominator often creates a fear-driven atmosphere, needless hierarchy, and struggles to attain employee loyalty and even more attract great talent from the outside in. So what does this have to do with tech and automation? Is PropTech a tool being built with the primary goal to fully automate facilities and properties, thereby making property management employees redundant and driving down operational expenses and up corporate profits? If you're in a company that is teaming with denominator managers, and that is the prevailing culture, I'm unfortunately going to tell you the answer to that is yes. However, I see the development of PropTech technology with much greater prospects than automation and employee headcount reduction. As a numerator-focused leader, we should be directing the primary focus of our efforts towards driving up net operating income per square foot by creating value for tenants, renters, hotel guests, patrons, etc., by a variety of tech-enabled service and products and offerings. We must develop a digital transformation roadmap or blueprint that has a value-centric set of levels that have an increasing set of impact. Let's start with level 1, which is optimization and preservation of a property's operations. This is accomplished by automating visibility to real-time data from previously unavailable real-time insights to adjust operations that guides space pricing and promotions through real-time insights, monitoring personnel and asset performance, as well as numerous other workflows. Let's move on to level 2, which is differentiation. In this level, existing properties and spaces differentiate themselves by the development and offering of new features that increase that property's appeal against other local rivalry. This is especially key in highly saturated markets. During last year, with COVID and all the impacts of the pandemic, one of the key features that facilities have been implementing but are also differentiating themselves with is contactless rentals. Frankly, this has been a make or break feature for many facilities and enterprises. As we continue to climb the value creation ladder, we now arrive at level 3, which is expansion. In this case, real estate properties and enterprises offer existing tenants new tech-enabled products and services that prior weren't offered before. So again, it's new products and services to existing tenants, which is generating new revenue streams. If you take time and really evaluate your customers, you'll see there are a number of ancillary services when really digging into what their needs are. This is what we're doing with smart units. As you continue to climb the value creation ladder, you eventually reach the pinnacle, which is a level 4. Here, we reimagine the use of the property and the space by reinventing business models to be deployed in that space. This brings new customers to the existing property and space, aiming for a 10x multiplier on space utilization. That's a massive revenue impact in that existing dollar per square foot net operating income we talked about. We have seen this in models such as co-working, and space sharing. Notice that all the above, this is not speaking to less work or the lack of need of property management. These additional products and services actually require a higher focus of the property management team to drive up sales and revenue. This will be made possible by technology automation, reducing some of the present operational responsibilities of the team members. That in turn frees them up and frees their time up so they can focus more on these numerator efforts. The focus here now from a technology deployment should be on elevating the value of personnel as well. Numerator leaders are devoted to creating corporate value and collaborating with organization talent as their number one long-term asset, as opposed to when I earlier discussed the denominator management's focus, which looks at employees as current liabilities. We as leaders must be committed to growing profitability by properly inspiring, strategizing, and expecting the promise of PropTech to drive highly sustainable corporate value. Let's look at the equation one last time. Tech and automation are going to drive up sales done right and bring with it higher impact, higher valued employment. In the denominator, we're going to refocus resources to be able to work on above through the use and deployment of automation. In this model, economic occupancy will grow higher, as will the NOI per square foot, because we're driving increased value. And so we actually can attract and retain property managers and employees at higher salaries. Yes, you've heard me. We should be paying them more, not removing them from the operation, which I see as an irresponsible deployment of technology and a misguided push for unmanned enterprises. My call to actions to my technology executive peers is not only to be numerator leaders, but to also be keenly focused on delivering numerator enabling solutions in the industry, and especially for the companies that you are partnering with or working for. Doing this, as he talked about, involves, developing and deploying technology that focuses on level 1 optimization and marches all the way up to reimagining new, even higher valued businesses. In doing so, we must work with the broader base of property management personnel who have amazing insights into operations today and things that could be done better, passion for customers, and a high commitment to the enterprises that they work for. If we do this, we can unleash PropTech technology that enables high revenue and profitability. And this is the promise of PropTech when driven by numerator leadership. And this is the tale of 2 PropTech deployments and approaches. Which are you?